Okay, so, the reviews are in for Sonic Colors Ultimate, and one of these reviews really stood out to me. It was the review by Gaming Bolt. 1.08 million subscribers. These are professional gaming journalists. And, yeah, the game, as I speak right now, is not yet available to the consumers, but instead available just to, the review copies have been sent out, basically. Scathing like to dislike ratio, and we're about to see why as we watch this review. But, I've watched a little bit of it. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I did figure that this would be a noteworthy review to basically review. Considering where it's come from and how long this has been up as well, I'm quite surprised by the low view count. But yeah, we're just going to go right ahead with this and give it a watch. So what's the worst that could happen, right? And just a reminder, these videos are made possible by my supporters on this platform. So if you do want to support me, be sure to hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. And be sure to check out the Patreon link in the description below.
Sonic hasn't had the best time since making the transition to 3D.
Alright, there we go. They said it immediately. Take the shot, stop the review. They've done it. They've done the typical gaming journalist bingo thing. You insert the coin in their back, they say Sonic hasn't had the best time since the jump to 3D. I just want to point out the jump to 3D for Sonic was 1999. I think maybe even earlier than that, I think. But, like, the first mainline 3D Sonic game was Sonic Adventure 1, which I believe came out in 1999. It was a big success. It was a very popular game. A lot of people loved it. So, no, we're not making that straw man argument that the jump to 3D is what was bad for Sonic, as there's been plenty of great 3D Sonic games. But I also just want to note, the video was voiced by a different person to who it was written by. So, let's cut the guy voicing it some slack.
And I know I'm not saying anything new here.
Okay, so if you know you're not saying anything new here, why are you saying it?
Everyone knows this, and the franchise struggles with transitioning its blistering quick 2D platforming gameplay into 3D while retaining the design principles that made the original games beloved and still being, good.
Very well written and nuanced for a professional gaming journalist. I definitely wouldn't expect anything higher than that, right? It's very well written.
It's been well documented. Sonic's misfires in the 3D space have been so spectacular and delivered among the worst games ever made so consistently that people often forget just how great the series could be when it was firing on all cylinders. That has never happened with a 3D Sonic game, but...
Shut the fuck up. I'm so sick of this mentality that, like, basically the classic games fired off on all cylinders and were the best, and that 3D Sonic has had nothing even close to that. Like, no, there's been some fantastic 3D Sonic games. Sonic Generations is an immediate go-to. Fantastic game. Sonic Colors even, the game you're reviewing right now, is often considered up there with the classics. The two Sonic Adventure games. And I get that the adventure games are kind of a bubble, more of a cult classic thing. So I'm going to try and think outside of that bubble, but they're still pretty beloved games. And just, like, also the whole line of, oh, it's delivered some of the worst games ever made. No, it fucking hasn't. I'm sorry, but the worst Sonic game is nowhere near one of the worst games ever made. Fucking play some movie license video games. Play some fucking Kinect games. Play some fucking shovelware games, my guy. Like, shut the fuck up. Get that point out of there, because it's a moot point. Also, you're reviewing a Sonic Colors remaster. Sonic Colors was a beloved game. You can mention that it was considered by fans at the time it came out as a return to form, but, like, all of this is unnecessary. It's completely irrelevant to Sonic Colors. So, like, okay, like, 58 seconds in, and this has already gone over pretty much every cliche in the book when it comes to reviewing a 3D Sonic game. Fucking think outside the box, you guys. The lack of self-awareness here is astounding.
But some have come closer to achieving greatness than others. None have come closer than Sonic Colors did when this unassuming title launched exclusively on the Wii over a decade ago.
Right, now that's a point I disagree with, but it's fair. If you want to say that Sonic Colors is your favorite one or the best one, completely fair enough. That's just an opinion. But, like, I would say that Sonic Generations should at least be cited or mentioned here. Because, like, that's a very popular game.
So it makes sense that, in celebration of Sega's mascot's 30th anniversary, this one Sonic game comes the closest to distilling the essence of Sonic at the peak of his powers, and realizing them in a 3D game would be the one that they would turn to. And so, we get Sonic Colors Ultimate. 10 years later, it still mostly holds up. That's what happens when the core game design was actually good, rather than relying on gee-whiz gimmickry that won't stand the test of time.
Normal standard Fest stuff here.
Always had issues, and those issues are exacerbated with the passage of time, so they do stick out more in Ultimate. It's still a fundamentally good time and an engaging game.
Fair enough.
You know how it goes this time. Another convoluted and contrived scheme by Dr. Eggman, and another attempt by Sonic to take Eggman down. In this specific instance, Eggman has set up an amusement park in low Earth orbit, which appears to be a front for a sinister scheme in which he is leveraging the power of alien creatures, known as wisps, to further his plans for world domination. It's a silly premise, but unlike so many other Sonic games, Colors knows to largely keep it out of the way, rather than providing overwrought context for the players and making the game buckle under the weight of its own unnecessary story. Sonic Colors is pretty lightweight as far as storytelling goes, which works to its benefit.
So there's kind of an
we do get
interesting juxtaposition here. There's very much... This was something that was praised at the time in 2010, was how Sonic Colors definitely was a much lighter load story-wise than what we'd seen before. However, like, in the years since then, a lot of people have felt that even for a kid's game, it talks down to its audience way too much. And it's interesting to see that the Gaming Bolt review is still very much in the mindset of 2010, where it's like, it's good that they don't have a massive story in Sonic games, but it's like, there's keeping it simple, but there's also keeping it well-written simple. And I feel like the simpler a story is, the more easy it is to make it quite well-written. And Sonic Colors doesn't meet that at all. Like, I don't think any Sonic game is particularly well written, but like, I do feel like maybe factor in that. I don't know. Like, if the guy thinks that the Sonic Colors style of storytelling is better, then I guess fair enough. I disagree massively, but fair enough. But like, I don't know. It kind of feels like Colors storytelling good, everything else bad. Like, there's this kind of sense of, you know, they don't need a story in Sonic games. Instead, like, unnecessary stories. Not really. Like, how many instances has a Sonic story really been outright unnecessary and too much? I'd say Sonic 06 is too much, but the story's hardly the worst thing about that game. But I get it. The story's a bit convoluted there. And maybe, like, Shadow the Hedgehog, but I feel like that's more just a fundamental disagreement with that game's overall existence in the overall landscape of Sonic games. But other than that, Sonic stories are quite well received, and like Sonic stories, whether or not they succeed or whether or not they fail, how they try to go so far above and beyond the Call of Duty, as far as saying that this character is not a Mickey Mouse, he's not your typical talking animal character, is part of this series' identity, which I do not think that enough gaming journalists seem to either understand or appreciate. It's fine to disagree, but I do think there should be some level of understanding that blockbuster storytelling has always been in the series' DNA. Even going back so far as the 16-bit games, they always made the most of their storytelling. Like, it was never like Sonic Colors, if you look back at the 16-bit video games.
With some cute humor that will endear the game and characters to younger players especially. Unlike so many modern Sonic games, this adventure is a solo outing, in that you only play as Sonic. None of the menagerie of creatures that form up his ever-expanding group.
Unlike so many, but like, again, like Sonic Unleashed, you only played as Sonic. I get that there's the caveat of having a different playstyle, but like, most Sonic games in the 2010s, even going so far as back as 2008 with Sonic Unleashed, have been solo outings. Sonic Generations, still technically a solo outing. You're just playing as Sonic. Sonic Lost World, you know?
Group of friends is along for the ride, though Tails is in the game too, and you're never controlling anyone other than Sonic. Though of course, Sonic does end up imbibing the character with a lot of the wisps that he is saving. All of this works greatly to the game's benefit. The controls, moveset, and levels are all designed around one baseline set of abilities, meaning that rather than having to balance everything for a smattering of half-developed characters with their barely fleshed out distinct playstyles, everything is designed around Sonic.
The thing is, can they actually quantify the statement of barely fleshed out distinct playstyles? That sentence is really difficult to kind of... Is he saying it's also barely distinct, or is it that it is distinct, but it's just not fleshed out? Like, it's a very weirdly written statement, that. And like, you know, you could make points for saying that, okay, mech shooting or something like that flies in the face of, like, the concept of what Sonic is. But I kind of want an explanation as to why it's a bad thing. If you're going to go into the landscape of what Sonic games were prior to Sonic Colors, you either need to make it quick or you need to be willing to actually elaborate on that. We are 3 minutes and 11 seconds into an 8-minute, 11-second long video, and all we've talked about is what Sonic Colors changed from the Sonic games that came before it. Games that came out in the mid-2000s. We are so far past this now, and this review is so outdated out of the gate. But we haven't even really talked about what Sonic Colors Ultimate brings to Sonic Colors yet, and we're over a third of the way into this video. So let's see what happens next.
How he is controlled and the abilities he has, with or without wisps. This leads to an unusually strong showing in terms of level design, boss fights, and the like for a 3D Sonic game.
Okay, I do disagree here when they say it's a strong showing for level design. Some of it is, but a lot of these stages are very gimmick-based, and it's kind of... I'd be interested to see if they factor that into this review anywhere, that, like, not all of the level design is great here. Some of it, like, if you're going to point out that, like, the Tails mech shooting sections or whatever, and I know they didn't cite this exactly, but if they're going to state that different play styles don't work because they fly in the face of the concept or are at odds with the overall appeal of Sonic, I kind of feel like you got to talk about where the level design in this game doesn't allow the player to really embrace what Sonic's better skills are, because that is a thing in this game, is that there's a lot of stop and go platforming, which doesn't really mesh with Sonic. But, like, yeah, so the thing is, they've said that there's other playstyles. They haven't even quantified. I've quantified it for them in saying, you know, Tails mech shooting sections and whatever. I like those, but it's like, okay, if you don't want to do that in a Sonic game, or you don't think that meets the appeal of Sonic, I completely get it. Completely. They didn't say that, though. They just said there's other characters with not very good playstyles. But it's like, if you're going to mention how that doesn't work with Sonic, maybe you want to mention how the level design works with Sonic. Don't go saying the level design's a strong showing. You know, like, I don't know. Have you played the game?
Remember, even the fan-favorite Sonic Adventure games suffered from having to design around multiple characters.
Interesting
Colors
point.
is a look at how this series can benefit
interesting
from
point.
having a leaner focus. And we get some of the strongest level design and mechanics we have seen in a 3D Sonic game as a result. Of course, Sonic Colors did stand out at the time because it was among the first showings of what would go on to be referred to as the Boost formula. And as mentioned, it was a pretty strong showing at that. The novelty of getting an actually good Sonic game in 3D after so long, plus one that was distinctly differently structured from the adventure template the 3D games had followed through to then, did help raise the profile of the discourse and reputation the game enjoyed. More than 10 years later, we've had several 3D Sonic games following this same formula, with the last one, Sonic Forces, being among the lowlights in a series with some incredible lowlights, so that shine has worn off.
Okay, so they are acknowledging how, like, the color's overall appeal has kind of worn off, but they haven't really mentioned where Sonic Forces got it wrong, where Sonic Colors gets it right. There's so much that they're just bringing up different topics, but not elaborating on it at all. Like, we're 4 minutes into this video now. We're over halfway in, and it's just like 3D Sonic games bad for the most part. 3D Sonic games used to be like this. Sonic Colors is like this. Games since have been like this. Like, it's a Sonic Colors Ultimate review, and we haven't talked about anything that this remaster brings to the table for this game.
People also find themselves itching for a return to the adventure style. While this does remove one of the factors that made Colors so well received at the time,
why is this being brought up,
it
though?
nonetheless does not change that the game itself is fundamentally well designed. In fact, arguably at its core, it's better designed than any 3D Sonic game that followed, including Generations, because it is not juggling multiple playstyles between modern and classic Sonic.
Okay, but if you're going to bring up that point, you might want to explain why juggling the playstyle between modern and classic Sonic is a bad thing. All this review's kind of saying is, I just want to play as one Sonic, but why do you just want to play as one Sonic? Where does that become a problem?
This has helped Sonic Colors hold up pretty well, though I would argue that the fundamental problems that lie at the core of every Sonic game do manifest in Colors too, and do hold it back at times. And this includes the 2D games too, mind you, though I do feel said problems are significantly worse in the 3D games than the 2D ones, which can work around them better.
What are the problems?
Most notably, we're looking at two fundamentally contradictory game design principles at play in Sonic: building speed and momentum, and precision platforming. Precision platforming obviously requires the player to slow down and consider things first, before then traversing the hazards they are presented with. Building momentum and speed require you to run without stopping.
Yeah, okay, but that's a point that I do think applies to Sonic Colors, and I think applies to Sonic 1, but it doesn't really apply to that many Sonic games, all things considered, but we're kind of stating like it's an intrinsic problem that's dogged the entire series. But no, it was pretty much out the window as soon as Sonic 2 came into the fold. Like, again, like...
Sonic does expect you to memorize levels and run them again and again, the better to be able to imbibe and reconcile both of these principles. But during your first run through any course, it can often be a tug of war between the two. Of course, like I said, Sonic Colors does manage to turn even this into a strength. Finishing a course and getting slapped with a C or a D grade often acts as all the incentive you need to go back and run that course again and again and again, until you memorized it so well, you're effortlessly getting the highest possible marks each time. Some expertly hidden collectibles also add further to the replayability to each course. A lot of the attention of the ultimate upgrade for Sonic Colors is focused on the...
Gotta stop you right there. Okay, we're now talking about the ultimate upgrade. 6 minutes and 5 seconds into an 8-minute and 11-second review.
Visual side of it, which makes sense. The original was a Wii title, which means it's a standard definition game, remastered for HD for the very first time. On the whole, I would argue that the visual update is clean and reasonable, if not astounding or worth the whole re-release in and of itself. Though there are certain complaints I can foresee coming in from some quarters. As an example, the updates have very definitely changed the look and aesthetic of a lot of areas due to the differences in lighting and color saturation, and I can easily see many preferring how the original game looked as a result. But on the whole, I think the new aesthetic in those areas isn't worse, it's just different. The remaster is very clearly nowhere close to the more thorough facelifts we have seen in other similar platform re-releases. For example, this is nowhere close to the overhaul that Crash or Spyro saw with the Insane or Reignited trilogy release.
I mean, I think that's a moot point. Like, I would say if you're going to compare Sonic Colors Ultimate to something, do you like the BioShock remasters or something? Because those are remasters, whereas Spyro and Crash were remakes. Like, learn the difference.
The game's Wii roots are especially clear and apparent in cutscenes. However, the art style is strong, and that, along with a bump up to 60 FPS for the frame rate, helps keeping the game looking pleasant.
I really want to know who's playing the game in the background as well.
Better, it's still a pretty good looking game that passes muster and scrutiny, if not as triumphantly as it otherwise could have. That's really the case with Sonic Colors as a whole. While its reputation may lead you to expect an all-time great platform, it's really not that. It is very good, mind you, and it's compelling and engaging and probably the most smartly designed 3D Sonic game we have ever received. All of that alone makes it worthy of playing, particularly since Colors is without question the best implementation of the so-called boost formula as well. The stumbles and blemishes that come along the way, well, they're just part and parcel of being a Sonic fan at this point. Embrace them and enjoy Dr. Eggman's wild ride. So, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on this is that this is a terribly written review. And, you know, obviously they're not slamming the game or anything, but it's just like, holy fuck, can you just review a Sonic game that you like without dragging the rest of the series in the mud? It's not relevant, you know? You could easily start the video by saying, Sonic games, have been doing a little better in the recent years after, I don't even think it's relevant to even say that. Just say, like, Sonic Colors represented a turning point for the Sonic franchise as it moved in a more concise direction with a more singular playstyle that Sega were intending on refining over the years. I don't know, I'm just spitballing this. I'm just improving this right now. I haven't written this beforehand. But it's like, that's all you need to say. And then you could mention Sonic Colors as a game implements a lot more of classic Sonic's design philosophies into the 3D Sonic space, and that's something that works in its favor. Of course, there are the natural pitfalls of instances where platforming really does take over and gets in the way of speed. You see, you can say this in all such a concise and quick manner, but they just went all over the place, like, 3D Sonic is shit. We're gonna say the things that gaming journalists were saying back in 2006 in 2021. It's like, have some comparisons between the original game and Ultimate. There's so much more you can say about that, but they waited until like the 6-minute mark. The actual Sonic Colors Ultimate review isn't until you get to the final 2 minutes of the video, and there's not even any mention of Rival Rush. There's not even any mention of the remastered music. There's not any mention of the customizables, Did they play the game? Did they play Sonic Colors Ultimate, or did they so much as watch some videos on it and watch a bunch of other gaming journalists talk about Sonic games in the past? It drives me fucking balls up the walls because these are professional critics. These are professionals that are handed this game to put in a professional and unbiased review of. It's fine. Like, if I want to see someone say, I love this game, I don't love this game, I love Sonic, I don't love Sonic, I can look at any idiot do that. And that's not an insult to people that do reviews or anything. I do that myself. I'm biased. But any idiot can say, I don't like this franchise. It doesn't work for me. Or I don't like this game, or I do like this game. I think when it comes to professionals, though, they should be basically recommending the game based on the terms it sets. What's the value for money here? What is this game? Is it recommendable for its target audience? I don't give a fuck about whether or not you think Sonic's had a rocky transition to 3D. If I want to hear a retrospective on 3D Sonic, I'll go watch someone else's content. You're a professional gaming journalist. Like, anyone can give their thoughts on the Sonic series as a whole in a very incomprehensive way. Anyone can bring up, I didn't like previous Sonic games, but this is quite good. Any idiot can do that. So why should you be getting paid the big bucks as a professional gaming journalist to do what anyone can do? There's no talent in this review whatsoever. It's a bad fucking review. And you know what? It's fine if I just disagree with it, and it's fine to disagree with the points. It's whatever, but it's like, why are these points relevant? Why are you bringing them up if you're not going to elaborate on them? They explain that they like Sonic Colors better than Sonic Generations because it has a one singular playstyle. But why does that make it better than having the two playstyles? Elaborate on this. You could say Sonic Colors, part of its appeal is this a singular playstyle, and that really works for me. That's all you gotta say. You don't need to bring up, oh, there's been so many characters in the past. It baffles me. It's the fact that the last mainline Sonic game we had was Sonic Forces, which came out, I think, we're approaching 5 years ago now. And it's just like, it's weird how, like, the landscape of what consumers want from Sonic has changed in that time. But the gaming journalist perspective hasn't changed in the fucking slightest, as proven by this video. Mad. Absolutely mad. So yeah, that's that. So what do you guys think? If you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. And of course, in the description below are links to different social media feeds, including the Patreon. If you're feeling extra generous, like the following people, who are JK Strife, Marcus Ward, Sirius the Skeptic, Biotinarts, Mr. SP, Adam Myers, and Fayalan Schwarzentraub. Thank you guys, you are the best of the best, but as for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.